Welcome to Diesel Pro Mastery. I'm Eric with Diesel Pro Network and have Charles here with me from PP&E. Charles, glad to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here to show you guys some of our oil filter upgrades that we have.
Oh yeah.
So we currently have these out for a lot of different vehicles. This one in particular is for the Duramaxes, but we got it for Duramax, Power Show, Cummins, some of the gasoline vehicles out there. And I just wanted to show you guys some of the key differences between the stock ones and our PPE ones.
You're saying this would...
This is a direct replacement for...
To this one?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh wow. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, so anything that you see here, it's usually made out of a cheaply blend of materials. You're never gonna get a good OEM filter from factory, unfortunately. You know, it's good for what it does, but it always leaves room for improvement compared to where ours always uses a synthetic material. You're gonna make sure you're getting the optimum filtration through there, not only in size because we make sure these things are larger, but actual media itself is finer. You're going to catch better material inside of there, finer micron. You're not going to allow that to go to damage your pistons, or your internal system, your drivetrain, everything like that.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed, obviously it's bigger, and then you have these bands around there, but it looks like you even put in more of the material in here versus something. I mean, I scrolled over here to this one and there's gaps in it.
Exactly.
So.
And that lets a lot of material through, as you can imagine.
Right.
When we're talking things as fine as, sometimes what's, on your hair or in your beard, these little fine pieces of micron rating stuff that's smaller than hair, and it's going through this, big gaps here, you want to make sure that's being covered. So when you're able to add more filtration here, that's what allows you to get a 5 micron rating versus a 20 micron rating. And that's, a huge significant difference when it comes down to these finer things.
So are you getting a little bit more oil added into the system when you change over from one to the other? You
do. So it's about a quart more that you got to add into there, which is not only great for the system itself, but for cooling.
Yes.
Because if you can imagine when you're running high temperatures, whether through your oil or through your transmission, you want to make sure that the more fluid you got, it's going to stay cooler, right? I like to think of it like if you're trying to boil a pot of water versus a cup of water, right? If you have more fluid, it's obviously going to take longer to boil up that water. Same thing with oil. If you have more oil in there, it's going to take it longer to get up to temperature. You're going to be able to keep the temperatures cooler where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, makes sense. So I'm going to ask the question, we have double the oil filter here. Do we do double the life, or what do we recommend on the life of the filter change? You
can run them a little bit longer. I always recommend to make sure, if you are going to be doing that, running your oil through like an oil analysis lab to make sure where you can actually go as far as an interval. Personally, I usually recommend most of my customers just keep the OEM standard. What we're doing is we're trying to fix the problem, right? So if we could fix that problem and make sure that your vehicle is lasting, 100,000, 200, 300,000 miles, that's our ultimate goal. And the way to do that is getting rid of this, where they cheaped out on the factory stuff and making sure that we're getting something good on the vehicle.
Yeah, so instead of having a cheap fix for, or alternative for longer oil changes, a cheap out on that, we're actually fixing a problem from the factory.
It should definitely come from the factory.
It should have originally had this on there, yes.
And you should still keep your 5 to 6 to 7,000 interval, whatever your OEM manufacturer recommends, ideally, right? But we're just trying to fix the solution, problem here with the solution that's actually going to fix it.
Yeah, these are very nice, and I could not believe the size difference on those. That just blows my mind on that.
Yeah, and to think that that's what you're running when you're trying to, tow, whether it's something expensive on the back of your vehicle or even just your family around town, and you don't want to be left stranded with something that's inferior.
Definitely the semi guys that have light duty diesel trucks are going to feel a lot better about this because they're used to this size type of filter, not something like this here. So
they're used to adding, 10 gallons to oil pan.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let's talk about something that nobody really does anything with. Motor mounts and transmission mounts. They don't touch them until they break, and then they'll even deal with them. And I've been guilty. I worked at a shop too, but we all know they are a critical part of the whole system. So tell us a little bit about your mounts.
So this kind of comes near and dear to my heart because I own a 03 Suburban with a Duramax in it. When you're in a Suburban, I'm usually hauling the family around, the dogs, we're doing stuff like that. I want to make sure the ride's comfortable.
Yes.
Right, so motor mounts, transmission mounts, we have both of those. They're very important to making sure that the ride is perfect, right? If you have something like this that's on your vehicle and it starts to wear down, this is a new one right here, but eventually it starts to wear down. You're gonna get a lot more vibration through your cab of your truck. That's not gonna be comfortable for, you know, anyone inside of it, right? And not only that, but you do have the possibility of these just completely cracking,
Right.
giving you issues down the way, you know, leading to transfer case issues, transmission bell housing issues, causing more catastrophic damage down the line because it all is drivetrain. So if you don't have something mounting the drivetrain to the frame, to the body of the vehicle, you're going to end up damaging other important parts of it.
Yeah, I never thought of the drivability of it. I'm just always thinking of when you get on the gas, you hear that clunking noise back there because something's moving. But you brought up a good point as far as feeling that drivetrain and feeling that in the seat as you're driving it down the road.
Yeah, you're definitely going to feel your dash rattling a little bit more, right? You're going to feel your coffee in your cup holder going like this, and you're going to see it vibrating a lot more. And that's where we came up with our solutions here. Whether it's the motor mounts or transmission mounts, we do have different size durometers. And the green ones, for instance, are going to be more of like an OEM stiffness. We have purple and blue, which are going to be softer than stock. And then we also have red and yellow. And these are going to be more for the guys that are, you know, more intense. They maybe want a drag truck. They maybe have something that they're, you know, want something where it's going to be a lot stiffer. Unfortunately, a stiffer mount does mean that you're going to be sacrificing ride quality. So that's where we give you the options like, hey, you could pop these out. You could pop in a softer solution if you want, or a stiffer solution if you're going down the track on the weekend or something.
So when you get this mount, you get the options of...
You don't get the options, but you could purchase these separately.
So you purchase them separate. So you pick which one you want, and then if you get it and you say, okay, I want a little stiffer setup, then you could just order those instead of changing out the whole mount.
You don't have to change out the whole mount. These things cost, you know, $30 compared to a whole mount costing you $300.
Yeah, that's a great piece. You know, a lot of times we're putting power additives on there. We're doing a lot of things. We're putting lift kits on, and the mounts are the last thing. And then all of a sudden we get out and we're hammering down on it and we break them out.
Yep.
And we're shocked that that happened.
Yeah. Or more recently, we had someone come to the shop and, you know, they had a cracked bell housing, right? And if they went any longer, then that bell housing would have completely cracked in half. And, you know, it was a failure because of the engine mount causing there's so much stress on the transmission and everything else on it.
Yeah, it's got to help with U-joints and things like that as far as your drivetrain, drive shafts.
Exactly.
We all know there's drive shaft issues with some of the diesel trucks, and that's got to be a great upgrade to help fix those problems.
Oh yeah, definitely. A good solution for the guys out there. Like I said, my personal favorite though is always going to be the fact that you could change these out. You know, so if I don't like how the blue one feels, I could change out to a green. If I don't like how the green one feels, I can always, you know, change out the durometer setting on them.
That's awesome. That gives a good option for everybody. Once again, we would like to thank PP&E. Great products, great group of people. Any questions about their products, you can always go to Diesel Pro Network or PP&E's website. And stay tuned for more Diesel Pro Mastery videos.